The hallway was buzzing with laughter, chatter, and the occasional sound of slamming lockers. But for Naomi, every step down that corridor felt like walking through a storm. She was new to the school, quiet, reserved, and carrying the weight of being different in more ways than one. Her dark skin and natural curls stood out, and while many students admired her style, others saw it as an excuse to target her. On that day, the whispers started early. "There she is," one boy sneered to his friends, pointing at Naomi. "Thinks she's too good for us." She tried to ignore it, clutching her books tighter, keeping her eyes on the ground. But the bullies had been waiting for a chance. Today they found it. As Naomi passed by the lockers, a tall boy named Kyle stepped forward and yanked her collar. Her books tumbled to the floor, scattering papers everywhere. The hallway went silent. Gasps spread like wildfire as the bullies cornered her, smirks plastered across their faces. "What now, princess?" Kyle mocked, pulling her closer. His friends snickered, egging him on. Naomi's heart pounded in her chest, and for a moment, fear almost consumed her. She could hear her mother's voice echoing in her head. "Never let anyone define your worth, Naomi. Stand tall. Always." Her fists clenched, and instead of breaking down, she raised her head and looked Kyle straight in the eyes. The crowd expected her to cry, to beg, or to shrink away. But Naomi did something no one saw coming. With calm but steady strength, she pushed his hand off her collar and said firmly, "You don't get to treat me like this. Not today. Not ever." Kyle stumbled back a little, shocked at her tone. For the first time, he didn't see a shy, quiet girl. He saw fire. The hallway erupted into murmurs. Some students who had been silent before began to clap quietly, growing louder as Naomi's courage spread through the crowd. But the bullies weren't done. Another girl from the group sneered, stepping forward. "Oh, you think you're tough now? Let's see what you've got." She shoved Naomi's shoulder. The tension thickened. The crowd leaned in, waiting for a fight. Instead of lashing out, Naomi made a choice. She bent down, calmly gathered her books, and stood tall again. "I don't need to fight you," she said clearly. "Hurting people is easy. Rising above you takes strength. And I have plenty of that." Her words cut deeper than any punch could. A teacher finally arrived, having heard the commotion. The bullies tried to play innocent, but the witnesses had already seen enough. For the first time, students spoke up in Naomi's defense, pointing out what had happened. The bullies were pulled aside and disciplined, but something more powerful lingered in the hallway that day: respect. Naomi's quiet strength shocked everyone. She hadn't just stood up for herself. She had shown the entire school what true courage looked like. From that day on, the whispers turned into greetings, and the laughter she heard was no longer aimed at her but shared with her. Yet her journey wasn't over. Naomi still faced challenges, side comments, subtle discrimination, and moments where her confidence wavered. But she kept remembering that moment, that choice. She realized she didn't have to fight fire with fire. Her dignity, her voice, and her unshakable sense of self were her greatest weapons. And slowly, the bullies lost their power. Not because they were punished, but because Naomi refused to let them control her. She became an example for other students who had been suffering in silence. One by one, kids began standing up for themselves too. The school started changing, not overnight, but piece by piece, because one girl had the courage to rise. By the end of the year, Naomi was no longer the new girl, or the target. She was the girl everyone remembered for the day she shocked an entire school with nothing more than her strength, her words, and her refusal to be broken.